True Gossip, where gossip meets truth.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Season 1 finale of True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. It's been a trying 2020, and most of the world would like 2021 to begin and hope it's a better year ahead. Before I introduce everyone, I want to remind everyone to get out and vote November 3rd. Your vote matters. If you can vote early, do so, because I can't stress enough what your vote means. So let's get right to it. I wanted to introduce and welcome back our panelists to the show. Tajuddin Shabazz, a man that brings his wisdom and knowledge. John Kinlaw, our Southern free thinker. Myself, Tanya Cole Lennon, your host and founder who keeps it real. And Ramel Royal, our host and our facilitator, and the man who words like a poet. And together we are
First Cousins. Well, we'd like to welcome back one of our special guests who really gave us some insight the last time she was here. I'd like to welcome back Maria, and I hope she brings the energy tonight. Before we get started, I want to let the viewers know that we are recording this show on the night of September 23rd, and it is the same day that the verdict from the Attorney General in Louisville, Kentucky, came down with the ruling to choose not to indict these folks on the death or the murder of Breonna Taylor. You know, I had a show planned out for us, and it was gonna go a little bit like a third of 2020 is remaining, and there's a few unanswered questions. And the number one question was, what have we learned from this year? Normally, I don't start off first, but I've been waiting for this moment. What I've learned from this year is that whenever there's an opportunity for America to do the right thing involving African American, Black people, Black and brown people, people of color, we're reminded of where we stand in this country. Today is a witness confirmation of it once again. Breonna Taylor, a young 26-year-old Black woman, is laying in her bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. Police officers with a warrant for an ex-boyfriend, supposedly, allegedly, come into her home. Allegedly, her current boyfriend, who's laying with her, pulls out a gun and fires. They shoot her several times. Bullets is everywhere, everywhere. There's no arrest, there's no video, there's no camera, there's nothing. It's not until people in the sports world and entertainment world decides to pursue this. 6 months later, I'm gonna fast forward, 6 months later, a ruling comes down and they determine that the walls in the apartment was more valuable than the life.
Oh.
I want y'all to let that sink in, people that are listening and watching the show. The walls to the apartment is more valuable than the life of Breonna Taylor because they got charged for reckless shooting and damaging the walls and bullets going into the walls and into other apartments, but not charged for the bullets that entered the body of the young woman of Breonna Taylor, who's no longer with us. This was a moment for America to do something, even if it was a hush money for Black people. Just, hey, take this verdict and shut up. No, again, they failed us. They remind us. I want to remind y'all that Michael Vick have served more time in prison for killing dogs or being involved in a dog ring than the last 493 Black and brown people that were killed unarmed by police officers. Let that sink in for a minute. And you ask me, what have I learned this year?
Sure.
I learned that Black lives don't matter.
Amen.
Yeah.
I learned that there's no love for us. There's no love from us. From Rodney King to now. Rodney King was on one of the first to have videotape coverage.
Yeah.
There was no love there.
Yeah.
There's
It
no
sure
love
is.
now.
It's just
Kinlaw,
sad.
what have you learned from this year?
Well, for me, it goes back to Colin Kaepernick. It was never about peaceful protests, people talking about rioters and looters and all this other stuff. And, because of that, they can't understand the message that people are trying to get out. But here you had a gentleman who was peacefully protesting, used his platform like other athletes before him, like Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and those to be mentioned, some real Hall of Fame guys. And, he just peacefully took a knee under advice of another veteran who served and put in his time and went on winning the war. And people had a problem with it. He was exiled from the NFL. He clearly made his point about, hey, there's still oppression that takes place against certain groups of people via Black people, Latino people, whatever. And until this nation can come together and address those terms, I'm gonna use my position and my platform to bring awareness to that. Real simple. Well, all this art roar and all this other stuff right. So now you have people who are just got to the point that they're just so fed up. They're angry, young and old and in between. Yes. This is what led to this. But to Romel's point, we've had opportunities after opportunities after opportunities to kind of let's band together. Let's acknowledge. I think that's the big issue. The big issue is the acknowledgement. When you try to tell people that they got a problem, the biggest hurdle to jump over is the acknowledgement that they have a problem. And what we've been saying since our grandparents' times is that, listen, this is a problem. There's been protests. There's been peaceful protests. There's been the Martin Luther King who was shot in the neck, who was the epitome of peaceful protests. So it's never been about peaceful protests. It's been about the message. And and America doesn't agree with the message of what we're trying to get out, which is that Black people as a whole just want some of the same treatment as some of the others that walk this very same land as we do, And I ain't gonna lie, I pride myself on being able to engage with a multitude of different people from various different backgrounds, right? But I ain't gonna lie, when I hear people talk about freedom and liberty, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And it's like they don't understand that those terminologies does not idolize with us.
It's like we're not awarded those same privileges.
It hasn't been something that resonated with us over the years. So when you say that, we don't quite understand it. It doesn't connect completely
with our culture
because we haven't
received. It just doesn't connect. So the whole patriotism thing and stuff like that, we've fought, we've bled, we've marched, we've done just as much, if not more, without much in return to make this America great.
No,
to make it what it is now.
Let me allow Maria to get in there.
Go ahead.
Kinlaw has said a mouthful, and for the most part, I agree with just everything he said. I mean, from what we've learned about this country, what have you learned from this year? And give us your takes on what happened today.
I learned that this country is full of hate. And it took one man to become president to make it all show its ugly face. I mean, people of all ages. It ain't just it's like, we usually say it's from the old people and they're teaching their kids. Well, I think it's just coming from every other race is like really hating on us. I'm talking about all races, Chinese, white, Spanish, they all showing their ugly faces. And now that I'm really starting to, I seen it before, but I'm really starting to see it more clearly. And when it came to this indictment for Breonna Taylor, I felt like I was saying earlier, if they would have left the money out of it and held out, I believe they would have got something done. Because I think they took the money too quick. I don't understand, like, what value is that money gonna give you? And justice has not been done for your daughter. I don't understand. I wasn't there. I'm not gonna say, you know, she sold her daughter out, but outside looking in, it seems like she sold her daughter out for $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened to these men. Nothing happened to these men.
Nothing's gonna happen. They just lost their job.
Nothing.
That's it.
Yeah, but they're gonna go to another state.
And
they know.
And get,
come on,
right.
their captain knows somebody in another state, and they go exactly. So
Right.
They might not even have to go to another state.
Right.
Yeah, well, usually they do, but because I've seen the cops that have done stuff, and they move to another state. The commissioner, whoever knows somebody, hooks them up, and they back in business again, shooting black people.
Let's allow Tanya to elaborate. Tanya, what have you learned about this year, and of course share your sentiments on what took place today as well.
Well, I have to agree with you, First Cousin. I have to agree with everything that you said. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm mad, I'm hurt. And I'm not in disbelief because I know that these people that run the country don't care nothing about black and brown people. That's number one. I learned that whatever we do to try to better ourselves, they want to be better and they want to act like they know better than we do. So what I'm trying to say is that when we excel in one thing, they want to act like they better in it than us. And that's like coming from Barack Obama. This man had a spotless record. And then now we got this man that comes in here, number 45, that comes in, and I learned that the color of your skin truly makes a difference of how you are treated in this country. Even though I wasn't blinded to it, but I turned a blind eye to it, not really seeing what it is for the truth of the matter, that our skin color makes a difference, and it's heartbreaking. And being a black woman, an educated black woman, a lot of knowledge and education and degrees and things like that, you still can't make it in this world because of the color of your skin. And what I learned today I'm with Maria, that I hate to say it, Maria, I hate to think this, but I believe that they sold their daughter out. I don't like to say, but
12 million versus no indictments.
And that's the only conclusion that I can come up to. And the reason why I say that is because we are so numb to what is happening to us in this world that we feel that we have no choice but to take what they're offering.
Well,
I truly believe they already knew the outcome. I don't care what you say. I believe that they knew what the outcome was. That they knew that they wasn't going to charge these men, that they was going to charge them with a one-time engagement after shooting into another apartment. And I'm with Ramel. The apartment walls was more important than a human life. And I learned that our lives, like Ramel said, they don't matter. I don't care how much marching. We've been marching since the 60s. And what has changed? Even though some things have changed, but nothing's really changed. Because we are still, now with this 45 in office, the racism, we're getting sprayed on, water hoses, electrical shocks, all types of things to keep us from protesting. And
let me tell you,
our voice is still not being heard. But one more thing.
It's not.
The other thing is that now, what you were saying about the Kaepernick thing, Ken Law, about where, he went on his knee and he was making a silent protest so he could try to make a difference. Now, all of a sudden, what he was saying meant something to you guys? But let's talk about that, Ramel. Why is that all of a sudden now it means?
And why is it? And why isn't he getting compensated for being blackballed?
They haven't even acknowledged Kaepernick for what he has done.
Well, let me say this before I answer that. You know, I'm not a Ben Crump fan. I'm not. I don't know what you all think about him, but I'm not. The worst thing he could have done was put a silver suit out there before conviction was put out there. And that, to me, that's poor judgment. That should have followed after. Now is the time. Now is the time to go for the silver suit, not before. Because what happens is they're under the guidance of him. And in many people's eyes, like what you're saying, might think, well, they sold their daughter out for $12 million. And you know what it was? They filed a suit. The city or the state of Kentucky didn't want it to drag out. And they said, you know what? We'll settle. It's $12 million. They jumped on it.
But they didn't read the fine.
That settlement might get reversed because the cops did not get convicted of that particular thing.
They didn't read the fine print.
But you understand what I'm saying? It could get reversed. They could go back and say, I want to appeal this.
So now let me address your other question, because Kinlaw raised a good point and you piggybacked off of it. As far as the Kaepernick kneeling, to me, the NFL is phony.
Yes.
And the reason why I say they're phony is because the NBA right now, their athletes is leading the parade. They're leading the march. They're leading the fight. All right?
Yeah.
And the women.
And here's the thing. When they did what they did, when the NBA stopped on March 13th, shut it down, and then started leading the parade, all the other sports followed.
Yes.
NFL was not in business because it was their off season.
Yeah.
Right? So now they get a chance to look at all of this, and now what they do is they try to piggyback off of the NBA because they don't want to look as bad, being that all the other sports, including women's basketball, including the young lady, Naomi Osaka, the tennis player. Yeah, so everybody is doing their part and joining in. So the NFL got to do their part and join in. But here's where the phoniness comes at. Colin Kaepernick is still unsigned.
That's right.
So if you can come out and say that we owe him an apology, why is he still unemployed?
That's
now,
right.
You ladies may not know the game like Kinlaw and myself, but let me give you an idea. There's 32 NFL football teams. On average, they carry 2 quarterbacks on a team. That makes it 64 quarterbacks or more in the NFL as we speak.
Yeah.
And he's better than damn near 90% of them. 90% of them.
Most of them.
There's no reason for him being unemployed. So my segue from this topic, and I'm going to go right into Kinlaw on this. What is your take on the roles that athletes are taking in this fight? Do you think it's going in vain, or do you think they're moving the needle? What is your take on this? Because they've been very instrumental and it's catching on.
My response to that goes back to one of our first couple of segments when I speak of social media. I think social media is the biggest driver and the biggest platform that today's athletes could use. Beforehand, the only thing you could probably get out of an athlete, if you want to know what his thoughts was probably doing a live interview if you were able to catch it at that time. But for the most part, you have someone like a LeBron James. Let's just start with him for a minute. He's the biggest athlete of all sports, in my opinion, other than Ronaldo Cristiano, right? And he is using his platform to do the things which many would think that Jordan should have done at the time, because Jordan was, to me, the first globalized athlete, commercialized athlete, right? You had conscious athletes and things of that nature, but they didn't have a big platform like Michael Jordan did. Now, with the way things are right now, you have superstars, you have accessibility to all these different athletes. You got Instagram, you got Twitter, you got everything now. LeBron is the biggest athlete in the world, arguably, and he is using his black platform to speak out and to speak against different things that affects the black community. And I don't think he's a fraud when it comes to that. I think he's putting his money where his mouth is at. He's opening up schools. He has charities, putting kids into college and stuff like that. I think that, you know, with that being said, I think we need more of that. You know, we need more of our biggest stars to use their platform to extent. Patrick Mahomes has turned a different corner. At first, he was like, nah, you know, the Black Lives Matter thing, but now he is being the face of some of these commercials and some of these advertisements that are showing black athletes and black quarterbacks speaking out against injustice and police brutality. He is the largest player and a Super Bowl winner and a NFL MVP. And he's using his platform. I think that is something that's monumental in the world. If we could utilize our platforms, and that's not only within sports, but that's also within music. If we understand the power that we really do have, I think we can effectively make a change and change the scale. You know, primary example, Deion Sanders. To your question, Ramel, that, you know what? He is the biggest legend that most youth knows today, right? Everybody knows about Deion Sanders, prime time. This guy has signed with Jackson State, of all places. He could have easily took over doggone Florida State. He could have walked right in there and took a job there. And I hope that trend sets on fire, because we need to reverse the revenue. We need to reverse the advertisements. We need to reverse the talent, you know, because there was a time where the HBCUs was the only place that people can go to get their post-education and to further their professional careers in life as an advancement, you know. So I think that it's moving the needle some.
It's funny you bring that up. And before I make my next comment, I want to welcome Bishop to the show. Welcome, Bishop. Glad to have you on. But what I want to say is, to that point, it's funny because with what is going on, and you're suggesting that Deion made a move to keep it among us. Within the last 3 weeks, in my line of work, I've talked to several African-American people that only want to work with African-American people. And in my line of work, in the auto industry, we normally work with whoever greets us. And now they are requesting to work with African-Americans. So things is changing a little bit, whereas people are responding differently and reacting differently to what is going on today. Before we get to Bishop, Tanya, I want to ask you, if you've been following the plight of the athletes today, the African-American athletes, and what they're doing about social injustice and the right to vote, how do you see their presence and what do you make of it?
At first, I thought it was a real momentum. I thought that they were actually moving the needle, but I just think that it's a lot of hype, and then all of a sudden it goes up like this, and then it just deflates. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Maria, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is that just like Tanya said, they started up and then they go down, but if they keep it going, they just keep stopping. It's like they get to a certain point, get everybody all revved up and think something's gonna happen. Then next thing you know, they back in the
Not even in the news anymore. You don't hear anything about it. It's like over.
You don't hear anything. But I really appreciated the commentators that boycotted, that walked off too. I appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
They didn't they walked off the set.
Yes,
And
he
that's
did.
the only thing that I
Smith.
appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciated that. But other than that, they need to keep it up. And celebrities, I don't even know why nobody's saying anything. You want us to watch your movies. You want us to buy your music. But when it comes to us needing your help, you won't even step up. You don't even have to pay. All you got to do is say something.
And you know who's quiet? Oprah's quiet. I haven't heard much of her. For this woman to be,
because it ain't no white folks.
I have not heard
it ain't
much
white
of her at all.
Because she was the one that put up all the billboards. She put up all of Breonna Taylor billboards. And you don't hear from her no more. That's all she did. Put up billboards and put her on the cover of. So it's like they started up, but they just, it's like, okay, she got the money. It's over.
Bishop, what do you think about the roles that athletes, African-American athletes is playing in the fight to vote and social injustice? What do you think about their presence?
I think that most of them are brown noses. I think they're brown noses. They're getting into fit in. They're using their platform for financial gain and not for prosperity for the people. I see them being, look at that idiot. I don't even know his name. He's some rapper. He's endorsing, he wants to run for president.
Kanye West. Kanye West.
I think that we just have a bunch of idiots running around here and they're not doing what they could be doing. They're running around here, they're talking loud and saying nothing.
Oh, that's right.
Because what has happened is that they've taken their ability to help nurture this country and they're using it for financial gain. Kanye West, the only reason why he wants to run for president because he knows if he runs for president, he'll get all those young people or people that follow him, that admire him. And a lot of, I think the controversy that's taking place is that we have so many people that look up to these idiots that's just destroying the very fibers of making America great again. Because America ain't great.
Sure.
I'll share this.
It ain't great for black people, that's for sure.
I'll share this. I'll share this. And I'm taking Kanye out of the mix. I'm a sports person.
I don't know about sports. I mean,
I watch these athletes, and I think the biggest obstacle that they have to face is that they're always going to be perceived and looked at as the dumb jock. But there actually are some difference makers out there. They are standing behind their word, and they are fighting for social injustice. They are doing things in the community. They are marching with the people. They are putting up a few dollars. And sure, along with it does come financial opportunities, because there's no such thing as bad publicity. Everything you do can be marketable to make sales on behalf of your brand, because most of these athletes that are doing it.
And I'm not saying they're not doing anything. I just say that it gets hyped up and then it just deflates.
The thing is that for some reason they're not able to cross a certain lane or cross a certain mark. But like one lady told LeBron, "Shut up and dribble."
Oh yeah.
You know, so they face the obstacles because they're always looked at as dumb jocks or just athletes. And, you know, there has been athletes that have ran for politicians, became politicians.
Kevin Johnson
becomes senators. Kevin Johnson became a mayor. Bill Bradley has become a senator of New York. So they do move on into other areas, but as long as they're playing sports, they're looked at as dumb jocks. You know, my thing is this. I think this is, I want to start this question with Bishop, because I think this is an opportunity for the churches to go into the streets. I think that this is an opportunity for the churches to be heard. This systemic racism that we're facing right now is really at an all-time high. You know, once upon a time, I thought when Barack was elected that racism was deceasing or decreasing. And secretly, it was increasing and enhancing. All right. But then you get a knucklehead that's in office right now that does not know how to run a campaign, but he runs on the premises of what will be popular for him. So he brings up the people that are racist, and he brings up the people who has hate, and he kind of lifts their voices. And now they're throwing water bottles at joggers in Woodside, Queens. And they're doing other things as well. So I'm asking Bishop, is this an opportunity for the churches to get in the community and make their voices heard and see if they can make a difference as well? You're on mute.
Okay. Let me say this. First of all, the churches need to get into church first. Because before they can go out into the street and minister truth, or before they can go out in the street and start saying, we're fighting for justice, you got to get justice in your own home first. Churches are divided as a church ministries. I don't care where you go, there's division. They got the club this, the North Carolina club, the South Carolina club, the Georgia club, the New York club. So first we got to bring unity inside the church, right? And the opportunity to go outside is would be very active for us to do so, because if we go out into the communities and if we reach, teach, and preach, if we do those things, maybe we could change the mindset of the people. Because let me tell you something, in all honesty, there is more racism in the black race than any race.
Yeah.
We're jealous of each other. Indians, malice, and all those things are inside of our own race.
Is it racism or is it stupidity?
Ignorance.
Right. That's right.
I think it's ignorant. I think it's stupidity and ignorance more than. I don't think it's racism. I just think it's stupidity.
I think it's just ignorant.
Well,
they prejudice. Because you know there's always a light skin, dark skin, black skin, brown skin. Just like in the Puerto Rican and the Latino community. If you ain't light, you ain't right. I'm just saying. Go ahead, Bishop. I'm sorry.
What I'm really saying is that until we stop being segregated within ourselves, there'll never be unity in the community. And China's absolutely right. All the Latinos or those with the Hispanic background, whatever it may be, a Mexican, you better not call them a Puerto Rican. You better not call a Puerto Rican a Cuban, or you better not call a Cuban it gets crazy. I think that as a people, in order for us to be effective outside of our church as leaders, we got to come together in unity. In pastoralship, I experienced this living in Rochester. I was a not like pastor. Why? Because I was out on the forefront, out there with the people, and the preachers that were supposed to be the individuals out there, they were falling short. And so I became who do he think he is? And that's what the problem is with us trying to get out into the community, because we all are trying to get out into the community, but we're not going in unity. So we're targeting, okay, this group's targeting violence, this group's targeting cancer, whatever it may be, instead of us all being on the same page. Right now, as it stands, America is in distress. And we're losing our votes over the filthy lucre, the love of money, which is the root of all evil. We're losing that because we are so ignorant. Because he gave us a couple of $1,000, well, I'm gonna vote for him. He's gonna give me
not even a couple.
I mean, the money he gave us ain't much, but in the mind's eye of someone who doesn't have anything, poverty-stricken people, that was a breakthrough for them. So now, let me. Well, You know, and he's supposed to get some more. I hope he do it. He ain't getting my vote, but he can give me that money.
He could try to buy me, right? He could try to buy me. Maria, let me ask you, Maria.
He probably would have got over though. If he would have had them people indicted, he probably would have got some of the black vote.
Maria, let me ask you a question. I'm not sure how you feel about this, but I want to know. Do you think that the churches, the pastors, the leaders in the Christian world can make a difference if they go out into the streets?
You know how I feel about church.
Well, I want to know.
Well, you know what? Truthfully, I used to be a religious instructor, and I worked for a private school when I was living in Virginia. And the stuff that I see, or whatever, it was turning me away. Then I went to another church, same thing going on. And it's like the pastor is pastoring the church, but the church isn't hearing it because they're busy worrying about what this congregant is doing, what that congregant is wearing, how many kids she got. Their mind isn't on the church anymore. And then they're not really preaching the whole Bible. They're preaching pieces of it. So we're looking at them like, y'all pimping the people, you know? So it's like, just like my friend LaShawn, she went to church. She doesn't go to church. I don't know. She went to church. She decided to go and give it another chance. When she walked in and saw the ATM machine inside the church, she walked right out. It's like, why do you have it's like the known fact from everybody is that pastors just want your money and they're not giving it back to the community. They're buying houses, they're buying cars, they're sending their kids to private schools, and the community is still looking bad. Then they need, if they really wanted somebody to believe in them, they need to come out and talk and don't ask for money. Just talk. Don't pass no plates around. Just talk. You could probably get through to them better if it ain't all about the mighty dollar. It's the church that my mother goes to, they pass around the pan 3 times. Mm-hmm. For what? And then had the nerve to call her recently to tell her that she owes back time. What is back time got to do with saving your soul? That's what I understand.
I don't mean to laugh, but
they got their own collection agency.
That's hilarious.
Let me.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna save you for last, Kilo.
Wait! I need to say something.
That's what it is. It's like, and where were all these pastors at these mega churches when all this corona was going on? Ain't nobody came out, ain't nobody offered no food for their community, no money, no help, no nothing. Where are they? And you know what? I said that all the time, Joyner. It was it was what's that man's name? And he has a little show on Facebook or whatever. And I said that, and he blocked me out the damn show. Because I asked, I said, well, where's all these mega pastors? I go, where all these mega pastors at, and how come they not outside giving food or whatever?
I can answer that.
Well, I'm gonna save you for last, Kilo. Let me get Tanya's opinion.
Maria, you said a mouthful because I'm gonna tell you something. I stopped going to a church too because when I walked in, they had an ATM machine. So the first thing I said to the pastor, because I knew the pastor, I asked him. I said, "Well, didn't Jesus flip over the table and stuff when he went into the church because he said y'all got the change machine or whatever it's called in the church?" You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell you, I left too because of the ATM. But when I grew and I started to understand that the church, the lights in the church, the water bill in the church that you flush the toilet, the music and all this other stuff that's happening in the church, you got to pay for that stuff. So where does the pastor ain't got no money to be paid for all that on his own. Wait a minute. I let you say all of that. Let me say this. So you got to get some type of tithes and offering, because the Bible says to bring your money into the storehouse so you can keep the storehouse well, basically. I'm just paraphrasing.
Go ahead.
So, and I understand how you feel and how some people feel, because I used to feel that way. That why is this pastor? Here I am, I'm broke, and you riding around in a Cadillac or whatever. But the Bible says that the pastor should ride prosperous, that you don't have to be looking like a bum and be able to preach the gospel. Hold on. But as what I'm saying is that you got to have some money to come into that storehouse to upkeep what's going on. And yes, the word is free, but the building is not free. That's
why they should start Bedside Baptist Church. You can see it from home. Bedside Baptist Church. You can see it from home. You ain't got to go nowhere.
Look at Kinlaw. Let Kinlaw say what he got to say. Go ahead, Kinlaw.
I don't. Kinlaw. Hopefully, you can answer the question, because I don't think I got an answer, but we'll try you.
I don't even know
what can the churches do? Will they make a difference if they go into the street?
Oh, that's what the question was? Oh, okay.
It's all right.
So Ramel.
Yes, sir.
So Ramel, I heard you when you slowly asked Maria, what do you think the church should do? Because Bishop went off record. And so you try to start it over again. So trust me, I read all of that.
I didn't really go off correctly. What I was saying was we have to start internal before we can go external.
And you know what, Bishop, I agree with you 100%. And part of what I'm going to say is going to be a continuance of what you were sharing. But I understood what Ramel was trying to do when he tried to start the segue all over again with Maria. And Maria just went left again. I knew it was over when she put her feet up on that couch. That's like but listen, to answer your question, Ramel, yes, the church should be able to be in position to do more. We will hope to think that we can rely on the church body as a whole, because there should be one rule, and that rule is by the way of what Jesus wanted us to do as believers, as Christians, as followers, right? Unfortunately, back to what Bishop has said, some of the things that Maria has shared, and to what Tanya has been laughing about for the past 5 minutes.
Actually, about 12.
You're not going to make a difference on the level which we need with your mom and pop's Baptist church that got maybe about 20 senior citizens, 2 young adults, and about 15 kids that are picked up by that one deacon or that one deaconess. You're not going to make a difference with those churches. Those churches, yes, you got those pastors and those preachers that are pretty genuine about, like Bishop said, I'm sure his congregation wasn't the largest, but he was out there in the streets with the people because that's how he was able to build up his congregation. He had to do that. Unfortunately, the ones that are in position to move that needle, your Jakes, your Olsons, your John Grays, your other, individuals, all the black pastors with Trump, these guys can be paid off. And you know what? When I think of what Maria said, where all these guys have been all this time, you know what that makes me think about? We all look at Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. We all see that one post of whatever that dude has said or whatever that chick has said in regards to relationships. But then we tend to just keep scrolling because we don't want to chime in on it because they know that we got some issues with our relationships. You see what I'm saying? People don't want to throw stones at somebody else that could throw a stone back. So to me, the reason why these mega pastors are not coming out in droves because they got a lot of skeletons themselves. For example, John Gray can't come out anymore and talk about trying to unify this and that and third, and he has all those shenanigans going on, right? You see what I'm saying? He needs to be kicked out the doggone church. So I feel like when people don't say nothing, when people don't get involved on that level, it's because they got stuff to lose or stuff that could come back and boomerang them.
It shouldn't even be like that.
You see what I'm saying? You Creflo Dollar, you hear more about him trying to get a $60 million jet than you've ever heard from him in the last 5-6 years.
And the last time I heard, he was beating on his daughter. So unfortunately, the people that has the money and the power to lead and to push this movement got too many skeletons in their own closet to do so.
Bishop, let me just say this one thing before you go, right? So everybody has skeletons in their closet or something.
So what now, Bishop? So what, Bishop?
You were still talking. She said, Bishop, before you go, let me say something.
Go ahead,
you were still talking. But I want to say this, in all honesty. I believe the reason why the only way we can go into the community is if we go in love. Yeah. If we go in with any other alternative motive, whether it's seeking membership or if it's seeking somebody to say, oh, well, you do it, or some accolades, then you're going in for the wrong reason. I, myself, am a diehard believer that the building is not greater than the builder. So we need to take the builder out with us and reconstruct the thoughts of the people so that the people will be able to see the building. We can't keep talking loud and saying nothing. We can't be pimps in the pulpit. And we must be a prosperous church. We must be that. And if the leader of the community is not prospering, the community can't prosper. This is why we have so much homelessness and those things, because they're keeping it to themselves.
Exactly.
So we're all in this glass house, and we all have these secret things that have happened in our lives that we don't want the brick to hit the building. So for these big preachers, and like Reverend Floyd Flake of Allen.
Excuse me, Bishop. I got to cut you off. Tanya has breaking news.
Yeah. So let me read this to you guys, and Ramel, go ahead and continue to facilitate on it. But President Trump refused. He said today, this was from his own mouth, President Trump refused Wednesday to commit to peaceful transfer of power if he loses the election, asserting that if he doesn't win, it will be because of fraudulent mail-in voting and not because more Americans voted against him. He also said, wait, listen. He also said that that he will not concede unless his 9 judges decide on the election, where there only is 8. So this is what he's saying. That just came in.
Well, let me say
this is a dog whistle. This is a clear dog whistle for his followers to go ahead and get all the ammunition that you done bought over the summer.
He already said that.
Listen, he is trying to amass a civil war.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it be violently, whether it be in any other form whatsoever. He knows the atmosphere of what is going on right now. This is the last thing we need to hear from the commanding officer in chief. Okay. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay. He's being combative. He's sending a signal out to his base to say, listen, by any means, do not accept the results of whatever that may happen come November 4th. You know what I'm saying? And
we're going to take over anyhow. We're going to ambush our own country.
I want to say something because we're getting a little long-winded here, and we probably need to wrap up soon. But I want to say this. When it comes down to the churches, I do believe that they need to have a presence in the street. And whether you're mega or small, and even if they can unite. Bishop, you said something that was so profound. You said, if they enter the street, they need to do it with love. Us Christians was once called the way. And the way was because That's what they call Christians first, the way, because the way was Jesus. The that I know is about love. And if we are going to make a difference and go into the streets, and we're going to go side by side and march or protest along with the pastors and the people of leadership, then we have to do it with love. And so I agree with that. As far as this breaking news, that's a nice segue into the next topic, and that is, first of all, I believe Trump has changed the way business is conducted in the White House and how the U.S. is perceived around the world. I don't want to talk about Trump because that is a topic or an episode by itself. I just want to say, can a ticket,
3 episodes.
right? Can a ticket of Biden and Kamala, a winning ticket, I should say, can they change the way the U.S. is looked upon or perceived around the world? And I want to start with Maria. Your thoughts on that, Maria? And this time, answer the question.
Listen, no, you know what? I'm saying to myself, it's like we all keep saying that, you know, we want to make a change. We want to make sure that Biden and Kamala wins or whatever. But what are we really doing? It's a lot of senior citizens that can't even get to the poll. Do we offer them a ride? You know, or do we, oh, you can't get there? You know, I don't even think that we not even doing enough to get everybody to the polls because they keep making ways for them to not get there. So if we as a community would come together and help those that can't get to, we need this win. And you mean to tell me you can't use most of the Christian way, love thy neighbor? What happened to that? But you're gonna leave her home and you got 4 extra seats in your car and you're gonna leave her home and we can't get that vote. And that's what the problem is. I believe they could win because it's only like crazy white people now that's voting for him. They just stupid. Because if they see what he's doing, they know what he's doing. They just voting for him just because he's just ignorant, just plain ignorant. But if we was to come together and make announcements, put up little papers around where we live, if you need a ride, call such and such to get, we're not doing enough. I understand we have all these distractions with all these killings and stuff, but somebody needs to interrupt these distractions and say, listen, we need to start getting our groups together now, not November 1st, now, to see who needs help. Is anybody asking, oh, do you need me to go on the computer and get you one of the mail-in ballots? I had to do that for my mother because my mother doesn't know how to be on the computer. So I had to do it for her. But what about the other elderly people that's in my mother's building? They don't have a clue to how they're gonna vote. And it's sad. That's where we're gonna fall short at. The ones that's up and able, they can vote, but the ones that's disabled, they're not gonna vote. Like 112, there's the public school up the block. They made sure that they used to put it on the first floor in the gym. They made sure they put the voting booths all the way up the stairs so the disabled people couldn't even get up the stairs to vote.
That don't make no sense. Tanya, your thoughts? Can Biden and Kamala ticket, can they change the world's view on the U.S. of A?
The answer is no.
And I did
We tried it with Barack, and it didn't change the world view. It changed the view for Black people, but it just made the racism of the white people come out more. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I'm praying and hoping that it'll make a difference, especially for Black women, because we are the minority, even if, to all other races and culture. But I'm praying and hoping that it can make a difference and people will see things differently. But I believe that it's going to make things a little bit worse. That in my eyesight, I don't see it being changed.
I was surprised to hear that. Kinlaw, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say yes. I think as of right now, you saw at the G6, you saw at the climate control conventions and things of that nature. A lot of people on a world stage do not respect President Trump.
No, they don't.
I think that the issues that will come to pass will be locally, will be domestically. Yes, we will still have our own issues domestically, but I think on a worldwide stage, I think Biden will develop different alliances that was deterred during these last 4 years. Trump has only developed alliances with Russia and Saudi Arabia and Israel. Israel does not like Obama, okay? And the Israelites, they have issues with the Palestinians and the other black Jews and things of that nature. We know how the prime minister is out there. However, with Germany, Canada, the UK, some of the other locations, I think that if we rekindle those relationships, I think we will do fairly well. You know, Trump has only set himself up for once he does leave office, he's going to make his own network continue to grow. That's why the first thing he did was sub the arms deals with the Arabians. People slept on that, but that's going to really be huge for him and his brand in the future to come. He's only doing things, he's using the office to set up his own empire. He's changing the tax code. He's changing the way that he's doing business with Russia because he has businesses that are developed in Russia. He has businesses that are developed all across the Middle East. He's just setting himself up to where from going from $4 billion network to now he could be in the 10 and 20 and 30 and 40s.
Exactly.
Like that's all he's doing. He's putting together his own staff of billionaires, you know what I'm saying, to run the country, and they have no earthly idea, and this is where you have now. Okay, but to get back to the question though, it would be nice to have a female as a vice president, whether it be Kamala Harris or anybody, whatever the case would be. I think we need to do that because we have women who are leaders, and women have shown that they can capable to make logical decisions. I think Kamala Harris being an attorney, a prosecutor at that, they lacking the emotions that most women carry to make tough decisions because they don't make decisions based on the emotions. They make decisions based upon the facts and what is logical. I don't think Biden is the person that people are voting for because they are like, yo, Biden and Harris. I think it's more so of anti-Trump. Okay, if anything, I think it's anti-Trump. But to Maria's point, I think that it's very important that people understand that you have to vote locally versus on the federal level. Some of the things that are hurting us on a day-to-day basis is because of the lack of the representation that we have at the local polls and doing the city councils and things of that nature. And we need to bring more awareness to that, and we'll start seeing those immediate changes. That's it.
Good stuff there, Kinlaw. And close us out, Bishop. Do you think a ticket of Biden and Kamala can change the world's view on the U.S. of A?
Well, I'll be honest with you. First of all, I don't think they're going to win. And unfortunately, I just don't think they're going to win because Biden and Kamala could be very successful, but because of, well, let me say, I don't think they're going to win, but I'm praying they win. And I'm going to vote for them. I think that there was a couple of things that came out. First of all, because I was writing some notes, we should be pooling. We should be talking about poll and pooling. How do we go to the polls? How do we pool to get there? Because that's very important. Because she's absolutely right. Because we have a situation here where they're gonna find everything to get us from making the votes. That's one. Our elderly. Number two, our pants hanging, falling off your butt, young people that don't even they don't. I don't think they even understand the significance of what's going on right now because they got a few dollars. I have my doctor's office. The young lady told me she's Muslim. She told me that she doesn't want to vote for Biden. She's gonna vote for Trump. She said because Trump has done this and done that. I'm like, okay, here we go. Now, the Billionaire Club that you talked about, that Ken talked about, the Billionaire Club is influential to a lot of billionaires and a lot of people that have money. Not just that, Biden and Kamala Harris ticket, I believe it can make a difference. I think that they can make a change.
All right.
But the first part is getting in office.
Okay.
Because
Well,
they ain't gonna be able to do that.
I'm gonna close this out.
Unfortunately, can I just finish this up?
Sure.
Unfortunately, Trump has influenced people mindsets to be stupid.
No, he influenced them racists that it's okay to show their racism.
Not
That's what
just the
he
racists. He influenced a lot of
Everybody.
people because of the love of money.
I'm gonna close this out on this one. And,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna close this out.
We can come back next week about this.
I do think that a ticket of Biden and Kamala can change the world views on the U.S. I think that Trump has put us in an ugly light. I think that Trump has made us look bad. I don't think other countries wants to work with us. In fact, if other countries could vote in our election, they would vote for Biden.
They would vote for Biden.
They would.
I mean, literally, we've seen with the Black Lives Matter movement, the protesting, they was protesting overseas. So, and every country knows this world is a better economical world or a better world when the U.S. is right. All right. So listen, great show. I do not want to end on that note. I'm going to start first. This is rapid fire. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm cutting you off if you go above 30 seconds. All right. Just give us something that you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say. I'm going to start first. We're going to end with our founder, Tanya, and I'm going to start off. Personally, I'm pissed off. I'm just tired of the same results over and over and over and over again. It is like waking up and really looking for that gift that you always wanted every Christmas morning and you never got it. This is ridiculous. It is sad and it's pathetic that they don't value a Black person's life. And I am sick of it. And if there's anybody that wants to lead a movement into the streets, I'm prepared to go with you because I am fed up. Maria, what do you have? 30 seconds or less.
All I want to say is just please vote. Please vote. Help your neighbor get to the voting place. Help your sister, your brother, whoever needs help. Just get them to the voting place. Because I'm not going to say that if Biden and Harris get in, it ain't going to be any police brutality, but it'll be a whole new different situation. Not that I was down with Biden, I was down with Bernie, but it is what it is. But you know, just get out and vote and stop hating, love. And stop the hate and love.
30 seconds or less.
Yo, I got my watch. Hey, listen, I'm pissed off. All right, I have a 4th grader. You know, she made all A's and 1 B this past whatever 9 weeks, or whatever we in. She had a project of explorers, right? All of them was like Spanish or Hispanic or whatever the case would be, Caucasian descendant, right? I have a problem with that because we are whitewashing our kids over and over and over and over again. Like it's just a shame that we have to wait till we 30 years old just to find out who we are and what we bring to the table.
What we've done.
You know, and it's like, you know, at the end of the day, take the time as a community to educate your children yourself. Because the schools is not going to do it. until we take control of the school boards and make our voices heard, getting back to the local thing, until we do that, then they're going to continue to take control over our children's mind and how they think and how they condition themselves, how to operate in this country. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't take my child to be a freshman in college at an HBCU before they have a black teacher. You feel what I'm saying?
I understand.
But you know, we got to educate our kids. Let's give back to our kids. Let's find a way to give. And I'm sorry I'm getting over 36, but let's give back.
You're
to
about
the kids.
55 right now. All right, Bishop.
I appreciate it.
Just for a no, you must go and vote. Just for a no, you must go and vote. No vote gives Trump a vote. Not helping one another get to the polls gives Trump another vote. Saying that you're indecisive gives Trump another vote. You saying that you want to change America and let's really make America great, because America was great. Now America is an escape for people that don't care about people. And on top of that, going back to what Sister Maria said, love one another. Because 1 John 4 said, "But he that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love." And in spite of what we're going through with this 45 idiot, we have to love him the long handle school. Because that's God.
Amen. Amen. Close us
I
out.
took my 30 seconds.
Well, I just want to say I'm with Ramel and I'm with Kinlaw. I've been pissed off since the 4th of July segment. And
that was crazy.
And I just want to emphasize on just get out there on November 3rd and vote. Take your elderly people to the polls if you can. I mean, you know, wear mask up and listen. Don't listen to Trump. 6 feet distance, put the mask on, and try to practice these things because COVID is still out there and it has not gone nowhere. That's all I'm going to say. And I ain't taking the vaccine, but hopefully they get it for y'all that want to take it.
I ain't taking no vaccine.
I'm just putting it out there.
They gonna do you like Jim Jones. They gonna
stick out there, you know. But I just want to say this. I want to thank you all you guys, for coming on this show. This is the season finale of True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. And tonight, gossip met the truth. And we said what we had to say. We put it out there for the people to hear it. This was raw, uncut. And listen, go to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook. Look for us, True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. And this is the end. And we'll catch you on season 2.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. God bless you.
Good night, all.
Yo, Maria was in her bag tonight. She ready to play some spades.
What do you say that for?
She ready to play some spades.
Truthfully speaking, Kinlaw, she only answered one question.
Yes, and I never did get to answer that question because I was so busy backing up for her. I forgot the question.
Hey, Maria's my spade partner going forward.
Exactly. Ramel,
let me tell you this.
Yo, I like her.
If we don't jump, it'll be Trump. If we don't jump, it's gonna be Trump. I'm telling you that.
If we don't jump, it'll be Trump. But if we jump, we can dump Trump.
We can dump Trump, but if we don't jump, it will be Trump. Y'all have a blessed night.
Have a good night.
Hey, I got a question though.
Okay, what's the question?
Why does Tanya always got to outdress us on these doggone podcasts? She got the hat, matching outfit, hair.
She had a runway or something.
She got the right centerpiece in the background.
She had a runway.
I guess
you know what I mean?
The producer, the founder.
She's trying to get a contract. At least
God love you guys so much. God bless you. Your great work.